Good evening, ladies, brothers, and tourists. Welcome back to another episode of The Chapter House, the show where you, the viewer, can get to know some of the men who make up the various chapters of the Old Glory Club. I am your host, NotMeNotYou, and tonight joining me are three representatives of the Magnolia League, Alabama's premier Old Glory Club chapter and sole Old Glory Club chapter, who have been with us the third longest in the organization's history. Peter, a founding member. Hello, my friend.
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm doing wonderfully. We also have joining us a black metal enjoyer who will be referred to as BME for the rest of the night.
How's it going, guys?
And last but not least, Jack. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here, guys.
So just kicking it right off, the Alabama chapter, you guys came to us third to get the affiliation agreement, very fast in the door, and also the fastest growing. In a very short amount of time, you were able to get and maintain status as the single largest chapter by membership. What's that like growing at that speed? What challenges would you say that you ran into with that?
Well, certainly it's a big administrative burden, and we have a fantastic batch of officers who really keep us on track. That's one of those things you don't really think about when you start an organization like this necessarily. You're excited, you're motivated. But then comes the dirty work, as it were. And so behind the scenes, what a lot of our members don't see, and what a lot of guys in the great beyond of the world and the internet don't see, is that every single day it's hundreds of messages, hundreds of hours every month, cumulative across all of our different members. We have a wonderful secretary who is really the backbone of our organization, handles the majority of the administrative things, and one of the things that helped us from the beginning is planning. We didn't rush things when we formed the chapter, and we had a lot of late night conversations, getting things figured out in advance, laying the groundwork for how we were going to handle bringing in people, vetting people, assigning people to different areas, organizing meetups. And so, we spent a lot of time strategizing beforehand and laying the groundwork there.
So a lot of a lot of chapters have a similar structure when it comes to officership, because we require there to be at least 4 officers, but we don't restrict what that then evolves into. With so many people, I imagine that the 4-officer structure with no other leading roles might be a little bit restrictive. Have you guys kept that 4-officer just 4 slots, or have you expanded that into a larger core?
Well, it's funny you ask, because actually as of our last official meeting, we started rolling out a new officer position. So within each of we broke down our area of responsibility within the state across geographic and cultural lines. And so each member in our organization belongs to a certain section, which is a group of guys, 10 to 20 guys. And above them, we are in the process of appointing a new officer position that is kind of the go-to guy for that area. So we refer to him as our area liaison or our section liaison. And so in the future, as we continue to onboard this new batch of officers, they will be handling a significant amount of the administrative legwork that was handled by our core batch of officers originally. So by breaking it up and offloading some of that administrative burden from our wonderful secretary, especially, and also our treasurer, that it's helping us move things along at a faster pace, especially as we continue to get more and more applications, which have been steadily coming and steadily increasing in the rate at which we're getting them. So.
Well, that's amazing. The last chapter we had on the new Ivy League has been talking about doing a lodge system, or breaking down the geographical area in a similar way. When it comes to vetting new members, will that be a responsibility of just your regional liaison, or do you think that there are still going to be people that are more well, let's get started with this first. How do you guys typically vet your, without, get into the details or not as much as you guys want, but how do you vet your the people that are coming on board?
Sure. Well, absolutely. I'll start and give an outline, and then Jack and Black Metal can join in here at their leisure. It's a lengthy process. We want to make sure the people we're bringing on are of high quality. So multiple steps. And the first thing is people come to us either by recommendation or they fill out our questionnaire. And then we have a series of interviews. The first one typically done through video chat. And then we have meetups and follow-up interviews as necessary. We do a pretty in-depth background check process. And so right now that's been handled administratively by our core batch of officers. But as we're moving forward, we intend to involve the section liaisons in that process more. Both to, again, offload the administrative burden, but also, and especially because the section liaisons are the ones who have the most face-to-face with these guys. These are the ones that they're going to be meeting up with on a weekly and monthly basis. They're the ones that, when they organize their monthly just fraternal events, these are the guys that they're having face-to-face interactions with. So for both practical purposes and just, fraternal reasons, we're offloading a lot of that to the section liaisons in the near future here over the coming months. But Jack or Black Metal, do you guys want to jump in and talk about your experience on the receiving end of the recruiting and vetting process?
I could add something really quick since I just kind of went through it. It's really simple what I want to say, but I am extremely confident that the people that are involved in the vetting process take it very seriously, and that they're serious about keeping the privacy of the members intact. And it's, I feel very confident about that. That's really all I want to say.
Yeah, and from my perspective, I've been on since December, I guess, of last year. Maintaining security, but other than that, it's really the finding the commonalities that you have that are desirable. You're definitely not in a rush to bring people on, but it is not too many people, just the right people, and which I would have thought would have been more difficult. But there's also the benefit of it's not like to run ads out there someplace, so you're not really pulling in people that are too hard to figure out, I guess, or to talk to. I felt like the vetting process was very, very reasonable when I went through it, but we're at an advantage where, like I said, we're not exactly out there looking around just trying to dredge up people, and so that kind of makes it easier because, like, again, it's a matter of the right people and the people who feel like they're going to work with you, and vice versa. So it's a positive.
Yeah, billboards are definitely expensive, but that's good to hear that the self-selection is helping with that onboarding process. Now, being like one of the larger groups, I imagine that it must be hard for everyone in the organization to know every single one of his brothers. And have you guys run into any like issues with that, or like how likely is it that each individual member of the chapter will know everyone else in it?
At our current size, we're still in that region where Dunbar's number, we haven't quite gotten to the point where it's a lot of strangers in the organization, I guess. And Alabama, while being a big state, still has a very old world thing about it. Every guy that I've met knows somebody else who knows somebody. We're all, a lot of people, it's, I work with your cousin, or, I grew up and went to high school with the same high school that you went to. So we haven't had any issues per se. I think in the future, as we continue to expand, that will pose some kind of an issue, but that's also why we're rolling out this section initiative to try and organize people more locally and focus on that fraternal aspect in their local areas, and then still tie them into a network in a larger organization so that when somebody does have an issue, like we had one of our members was laid off not too long ago, and all across the state, all of our guys, jumped into action immediately. We're helping him with his resume, helping him with job postings. Hey, my company over here is hiring, and I looked at your resume and you look like a perfect candidate for this job. You should apply. So the fraternal aspect at the local level, and then still tying into the benefits of a larger network at the state level, is really where we're headed over the coming months and years.
That's wonderful. I love the South. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jack.
I was going to say, when we had a meeting for the entire group for everybody across the state earlier this summer, I wanted to make sure that I shook hands and met everybody that was there and put their name, their handle with the person, because I wanted to know everybody. It's a fraternal organization, so I'm gonna make sure I know everybody. Shake hands. Oh, you're that guy. Okay. Hey, good to add or comment on. I think one of the guys I got to meet who doesn't live that far from me geographically, the first thing I said to him was, "I love the graphics you use on Twitter. You have the great graphics." But it was on my part, I wanted to talk to everybody. This is your group. These are the people you actually can relax and talk about things that are important to you, and not have people look at you like you're retarded. So I want to talk to other people. I want to make, these are friends here. So I'm going to talk, shake hands, and try to get to know everybody as much as time allows, or at least eyeball everybody and shake hands and say, "Hey, I'm here if you need something. I'm part of this group too." So that was part of my experience with it.
Yeah, and that's kind of a perfect segue, Jack. Could you guys, each of you, give me a little idea of why did you decide to join the Old Glory Club and join the Alabama chapter? What was it that you were looking for, and do you think that if you haven't gotten there yet, are you on the way?
Well, I guess I'll go first here. I come from a military background, so fraternity was something that I knew. And as I transitioned to being an adopted son of Alabama, because I'm not a native, although you could say I married into it, and I wanted to find that again. I wanted to find those kinds of relationships, those ride or die brothers that I had, and I wanted to keep that as I got out. And I also saw, like so many of us in this sphere, I suppose, we see kind of storm clouds on the horizon, and for a lot of folks, it was time to circle the wagons. And so, knowing that something had to be done, that a lot of the organizations that were fulfilling that fraternal role in American civic life, as they fell away and were dying, me personally, I'm the kind of guy where if I see a problem, I got to fix it. And so, that's why I decided to get involved and to help start a chapter, because I thought it was exactly what was needed at the moment in our history and in the place and time that I was. So that's why I joined. I mean, I just can't stand by and watch things fall apart. That's not how I roll. And most of the guys that I've met, that seems to be a similar thing. It's even if we have strong families and communities and friends and networks outside of the chapter and of the organization, we wanted to combine our forces, as it were. It's now we have so many members in our organization, but each one of our members is a link to their families, their communities, their churches. And so, we're strengthening all of those individual smaller organizations of people with each other across philosophical, cultural, and religious lines that we strengthen each other by doing that. And so that's why I got involved.
Mine was that I'd actually written a Substack article for the OGC before I really knew that there was a chapter and how all that worked. And subsequent to that, one of my friends turned me on to it, and I did not realize how much I was missing fraternal fraternal bonds and male friendship until I started getting around these guys who are like, oh, well, no wonder. I needed this. I needed some guys to talk to who you have a fraternal bond and a brotherhood with, or that you're developing it with. We all know that guys need it, but then you realize how much you're not having it. And on top of we have same values as far as what the actions in society that are troubling. What can we do about it? Who knows what? Who can advise? Who can recommend? How can we help each other in things that have to do with your civic life as well as your cultural life? Being in Alabama, there's a lot about culture and a lot about history that everybody has a lot of commonalities about. But it was a space where you could discuss those things, talk to people that had deep knowledge in a lot of these areas. And then, but the fraternal brotherhood aspect of it is really like I said, I didn't realize how much I needed that or how much I was not having it until I got around the group and then started to get to know everybody. So there's that social aspect that the men need, that was fulfilled in that.
Yeah, black metal enjoyer. I know that you've been around this sphere for a little bit. What made you finally decide to pull the trigger?
It was the OGC conference this year. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, where I just came to the decision one of the nights after talking for hours and hours and hours, and I shamble back to my little cabin at 2-3 in the morning, and it's like, okay, I got to put up or shut up with this. It's time. Just because, and it builds off what Jack says really nicely. I've experienced fraternity before. I feel like I'm pretty grateful. I'm not, the most atomized person in the world. I've always had friends and a relatively large friend group, but I don't know. It's like, I'll put it to you this way. I went to one IRL meeting so far, kind of organized through the league, and I'm showing up at a public place and meeting ostensible strangers, but it's like a breath of fresh air. It's kind of ecstatic once I got in there and I met these guys, and they sort of figured out who I was and I figured out who they were. It's like picking up a conversation that I started at the conference. It's like, I've never met these guys, but they haven't missed a beat. And it's people that immediately it's kind of like, okay, I trust this guy. This guy's my friend. And it was like that at the conference, just the quality of the people there. And, it really kind of transcends politics in a lot of ways. And, I'm a political guy, obviously. I'm not the most well-read person in the world. I'm very intuitive with a lot of this stuff. And I've been watching it, obviously, and paying attention for a long time. And once I kind of came to the decision that this type of organization is really the way forward, and I started meeting some of the people involved. And just again, when I was going through the initial stages of the vetting process, and I was like, okay, these guys are serious. It's just really refreshing and it's like a breath of fresh air. It's just ecstatic. I'm kind of excited to see where this leads, and I think it will become only more important as time goes on and we kind of descend into whatever comes next.
Yeah, and Black, there's two things you said there that really hit me. I mean, when you said it's time, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're listening to this or if you're in this space just broadly, I mean, it's not time today. It was time 2-3 years ago, right? I mean, if you're joining the party now, like, you're late. You got to get involved. I mean, this is, I don't know, when you look at the course of history and you look at the kinds of men and the groups of men who change things for the better, who really end up on the pages of history. It's people who, saw the writing on the wall and said, yeah, it's time, and it's me. I'm in. And then you said another thing there about professionalism, and to answer one of your questions earlier, I guess a little bit better, put a finer point on it. The one thing that we have focused on from the beginning in our organization is professionalism. Now, that starts, of course, with our leader. Our president is the epitome of professionalism, and someone that you can respect and follow. But across the organization, that's something we've hit on over and over and over again, that, in our interactions with people, in our vetting process, in the way we handle information, in the way we organize meetups, and in the way we interact with other people in the community. It's professionalism. We're trying to build an elite group of men. You know, we're not just interested in getting everybody, you know, and their mother who wants to join an organization to join. That's not what we're about. We want the best. And quite frankly, I'm blown away every single time I meet up with our guys, because, you know, there's a impression I think you might get of this space were you to look at it from the outside and think that it's a lot of young guys, you know, who are just kind of messing around. But you know, that's not the case at all. I mean, our organization, the average age is middle-aged, professionals, veterans. Married with families is the norm, not the exception. And so, you know, I mean, you know, if those guys can do it, if those guys are here and saying, you know, I'm in because I think there's something important here, and I want to build a legacy and preserve this land and its people for the future. I mean, this is how you do it. You know, you got to get together with the other people who think the same way you do, and, you know, put a little on the line, I guess. But, you know, you get in and you realize that, like Black said, I mean, nobody here has skipped a beat. We're all on the same page. So you got to get involved.
Well, that's a wonderful thing, guys. I'm glad to hear that you're having such success. I mean, there's a lot there. I guess I want to start with you talk about this shared sense of professionalism and understanding of kind of what time it is, and being serious about going forward. Do you think that this is indicative of Alabama and her sons? A lot of you,
yes,
have obviously come to the national meetups, and you get a feel for the culture of other chapters. How much of this do you think is like emblematic of the culture of Alabama?
It is 100%. Y'all too should take this, because I know I've heard you guys. I've talked to both of you about this kind of thing, and I've heard what you have to say. I want to hear you guys say it here.
Take it away, Jack.
First.
Okay.
Right. Well, I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll do
please
it.
post,
Okay,
put down the other chapters, make everyone jealous. Please do go.
Well, I'll tell you, for me now, I come from pre-revolutionary stock. My family's been in the state since before it was a state. So for me, I mean, I'm here because I got skin in the game. I'm from here. My families are from here. I'm a part of this place. So this is something, and, you know, the more time goes by, the more valuable that is to me, because you have a legacy. I am my parents' and my grandparents' inheritance. So I need to handle that wisely. I need to do something be judicious in my actions with it. So that should tell you right there about the attitude of some of us here. And it's amazing to me. Some of the younger guys in our organization are total historic scholars. They're especially ones that are from more rural areas than I am, and I live in the sticks. They are very down with their Confederate history. They're extremely knowledgeable in a granular sort of way about local history, which I envy. I'm pushing myself to appropriate more of that. But there's this, and I assume it's because of the Confederate history, and that the area is known to by nature be more socially conservative, although that's been horribly watered down in the past 50 years. But nonetheless, there's still that sense of distinction that the people have here, and if you're not from here, you're wanting to appropriate some of that. You are adopted sons, and it's a place to be adopted from. Of course, now anywhere in the country has a rich history if you'll look for it, because it's like It's a Wonderful Life. You know, all the people that do all the living and dying around here. Well, you come from those people in the place that you live. Maybe it was some other part of the country, but it's still, you're vested in the place. You're a part of it, and you bring that to the game. Other people you encounter don't know anything. They don't know where they live. They don't know. They couldn't find themselves on a map. They're unaware. They're just getting fat and watching Netflix. While the rest of us have recognized the inheritance and the lineage we come from, we need to act on it. And we need to be worthy of our ancestors who bled and died and worked 25-hour days to bring us all here. So that's one perspective.
Well, that reminds me of something George Bagby is fond of saying, that in the North, people ask, what do you do for work? Whereas in the South, people ask, where are your grandparents buried? And that being from the North, I can tell you that is really the culture up here. There's not really this kind of focus on individual or communal history, but that latter part, where you all know where your families kind of interact and intersect, is that still alive and well in Alabama?
For some, my wife's family in particular, I joke that I need a flow chart because her grandfather, all their siblings are like 13 of them, and they all know each other because they're those typical like Scotch-Irish families that work in auto body places, and they all have these multiple intersecting relationships, their church, their job, and all that. So that's still alive in a lot of places, although it's been besieged as so much else has in the country. But there's still some of it there. You might have to go looking for it and get out of your particular circle, but it's there. It's often held in people who are not particularly esteemed.
So I want to go back to something you guys had talked about a little bit earlier. Unless Black Metal, did you have something to add on this one?
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is, there's a particular attitude and a mindset that's cultivated among Alabamians, and I think it's something that you either get or you don't. It comes out of the land. At least that's my theory. Especially when you get into some more far-flung places. I mean, it's unmistakable. It is old world. It is crazy. And I love it, and I think that the people that stick around here, they love it too. And it's just kind of a no-brainer. When people were saying that the Birmingham, General Alabama chapter, this was the biggest association of OGC kind of people. I was just like, yeah, I'm not really surprised by that, just because, being involved in the trade since high school and just kind of going all around the state to very, very rural spots, it's unmistakable that, it's just a no-brainer.
Yeah, there's definitely something in the woods down there. I was lucky enough to visit last year, and I noticed that the topography of the area that I was in was very much like the New England woods that I'm used to, and the New England woods are haunted. So whatever animating spirit you guys have got, it seems to be a good one. But I did want to ask, you mentioned that there's a high percentage of middle-aged men in the organization, and that's something that, as a founding member of the Old Glory Club itself, I wanted to see. I wanted to see older men who were mentoring younger men. Now, have you guys found that? Have you set up a formal mentorship program, or have any guidance on it, or is it something that you guys are seeing kind of emerging naturally?
So one of the things we did is we when we structured our organization from the very beginning, we intentionally divided it with a tiered class system, and it's not anything terribly complicated, but we are firm believers in hierarchy, especially in any masculine endeavor. Hierarchy is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, the foundation upon which everything else rests. And so by creating a formalized hierarchy within the organization that goes beyond just having a group of officers and a membership class, we hope to facilitate that. So you can't join the upper class unless you have done something to aid the organization, and it's typically reserved for our older members. And so this is another thing that our section initiative in the future is intended to drive. So in each area, we are appointing the guy who is best suited, most mature, with the intention of him being the leading figure, the kind of father figure for a lot of the more junior members in his area, because that is one of our main mission sets. Is we want to take some of this human capital that is almost a raw material with a lot of the young guys we have, where they have a lot of natural talent, but for one reason or another, whether it's issues in our society at large or issues in their own families growing up, they were not given the opportunity and the the training, I suppose you could say, to bring them from boyhood into full manhood. And so that is a huge, major focus of our organization and has been from the beginning. But in the experience of a lot of our members, again, most of whom, a significant portion of whom are former military, that's not something that can be done deliberately or bureaucratically. It's something that's done naturally. You can't assign someone to be a mentor to a more junior member and just hope for the best. It's something that has to come naturally, based on a genuine affection between brothers in the organization, and a genuine recognition, both formally with the various systems within our organization, like the stratified class system, but also informally, just a recognition of people's talents, so that a junior member can look to an older member who is accomplished professionally in military service with their wife and their family, is in good standing in their community. They can look at that man and say, that's someone I want to emulate. And so when they have problems in their own life, or they come to a crossroads, whether it's in professional job hunting or resume building, or making a decision to go to college or join the military, they have somebody that they can look up to right there, in their pocket on their phone, that they can text, that they are friends with and that they trust. So it's something that can be formalized to an extent, but is something that arises naturally. And the formal recognition of that is just that. It's just a formal recognition.
Yeah, Jack, black metal. Do you guys have any experience dealing with this thing, the people in this that are above you in the hierarchy?
Yeah, I would love to add something really quick. Obviously, I haven't been affiliated with this organization specifically for very long, but this structure and this concept of I love it. I readily embrace it. It's something that I'm excited to interface with personally, because it's exhilarating to surround yourself by men that are better, smarter, faster, stronger, and just kind of more capable than you are. It's how you develop as a man, right? And it's a very natural process. It's something that was acknowledged forever up until maybe 100 years ago. And I think that it's an important part of this organization to me. And while I don't have a lot of direct experience with it yet, I'm ready to embrace it and kind of become a part of it. And I think that anybody kind of looking for that should, just join.
Yeah, it's the way it carries out in our chapter. It's organic. It just seems very natural. There's nothing. It's not like you had a set of rules. Really, you're just allowing the natural hierarchy just to work, and everybody wants it to work. So it's just not seem forced. It's just natural.
Well, that's good to hear. This might not be a unique to the OGC nationwide, but it is the first time that I have heard of a chapter doing something like this. And our audience is typically going to be other OGC members, and many of them will be officers and presidents who will hear this idea and will fall in love with it. Peter, could you give us a little bit more of an insight into how was this determined? How do you guys kind of set it up? I mean, Jack's saying that it was a very natural thing. It wasn't anything that had to be forced, but it still seems like something that was codified. If you wouldn't mind expanding on that a little bit.
Yeah, certainly. So it was codified from the very beginning. We have a junior class that everybody, when they become a new member, you're automatically assigned to that class, and then all of the officers are assigned to the more senior class, and we differentiate the two in our formal meetings by the pins that we wear. So it's a minor thing, and again, more of a formality. But as we're rolling out our section liaisons, those men, as appointed by our president, again, who's the top of the organization and ultimately the sole decision maker, he appoints those new officers, and they join that class. And then as we've discussed other men who have contributed significantly to the organization and said, maybe this is somebody who should join this class. We formally recognize him as somebody who has given financially, given in their time and labor to the organization. So we wrote it into our bylaws and into our structure from the beginning, but over time it's developed. When we originally created the system, it was more of an idea, more of a we didn't necessarily know how it was going to play out, but we knew that it was necessary to differentiate people, because you can imagine if you're a 55-year-old man with a family and a professional career, you don't want to necessarily join an organization where the 18-year-old who's still trying to figure his life out is considered the same as you. And that's not to denigrate the younger guy, but it's to just naturally recognize that people are not the same. And while everyone who joins our organization is of some high quality, they have either natural talents or potential in the future, you have to recognize, that not everyone is equal. I mean, this is just a fact of life. And another thing I would say to anyone who's maybe considering starting a chapter, or if you're considering assuming a position of leadership within your chapter, if it already exists, recognize this in yourself and in others. Just because you want to be, say, the president of a chapter doesn't necessarily mean that you're the right guy for the job. And from the very beginning, approaching that topic of leadership with humility and honesty, both, assessing your own characteristics and attributes and assessing those of your fellow brothers, assessing those things honestly and approaching that topic with humility is so important, because as a lot of our leaders have found out in this organization, being in a position of leadership it's not fun. It's a lot of work. It's a tremendous amount of work. And anyone who's served in the position of leadership in the military or some other organization where it's really a servant leadership mindset, where you're not a boss, you lead from the front, you will recognize exactly what it is that I'm talking about, because it's sacrificial. You have to sacrifice. You have to be willing to give. If you're going to assume a position of leadership, if you're going to assume a senior position, if you're going to join that higher class in an organization, you have to recognize that it's not a position of power, it's a position of responsibility. You're there because things are expected of you and people need things from you. You're going to be the rock that people lean on. And if you're not ready for that, and you want to be that person for reasons other than, necessity and the good of the organization at large, then you're not thinking about it in the right way.
That actually brings up another question I had for you. The responsibilities of leadership are, as you say, they are kind of inherent in the act of being a leader, in the qualities that are required to have other men look at you as someone who can lead, is that you take care of your responsibilities. When you were establishing this hierarchical system, this I don't know what you want to call it, this tier system, did you guys codify responsibilities for people that were in the higher tiers but weren't officers, or is this just something that is kind of, the responsibilities will emerge organically as the system is operated within?
At the time, originally, we didn't define responsibilities or privileges associated with each class, and we only have senior. But being an organization that's new and growing, one of the exciting and fun things about being in a new organization is that you get to solve problems and challenges as they come to you. So with the section liaison initiative, that was a solution to problems that we saw arising. And so one of the opportunities that we saw in the solution to that problem was that we were given the opportunity to create a new batch of officers. And so now we could associate the more formal higher class, the higher rank, if you want to call it that, with a responsibility of being an officer. So it was no longer just something where, hey, this is a kind of an accolade for you. Now this is something that actually has responsibility attached to it, and that is an important aspect of leadership. I mean, ultimately, if you don't have true responsibility over your area, whatever it is, you're just a manager. You're not a leader. If your success and failure is not immediately and directly tied to the people or the structure that you're managing, you're not really a leader. So so our section liaisons, as we roll them out, they are responsible for their organization. It's not just some bureaucratic managerial position by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, they are given left and right limits, certainly, and boundaries, and say, hey, these are the things that you're allowed to do and the things that you're not allowed to do. Here's the things that are the responsibility of the chapter officers. But other than that, you're given free reign to do what you need to do to make your section as successful as possible. And so that is an element of true leadership.
That's great. That you guys recognize right off the bat that passing the buck isn't something that you're going to tolerate. I love that mentality. Jack, you being a member of the organization a little bit longer, have you kind of witnessed this hierarchy kind of display itself at meetups and stuff? Is it something that changes the culture of like a social event, or is it kind of hard to tell just at a glance?
It doesn't seem really obvious at a glance, although I will say, like with the meetup, when we had a formal meeting of the entire state, everybody's coat and tie, which I'm so grateful for. I'm so grateful that everybody dresses appropriately, because that's gone down in so much with everyone. But again, I use the word organic. Everything, it seems organic. It seems to be a natural understanding and expectation that we will function as a hierarchy. That we have guys that are in charge, and you give them a certain amount of appreciation and respect. But where we're at now, I have not encountered a lot of a place where there's hard edges to be met on it. It's really you recognize who's running things. You work with that. You're a part of it. You're there because you like it. You're there because you want it. So it's easy. It's aside from just taking on tasks if someone needs something. We were talking earlier about a member needing being out of a job and needing help that situation. I was privy to that, and that was so great. I appreciated how much everybody meant what they say about this, and they jumped in to help this particular member. And everybody was throwing everything at him that it took him probably a while to take some of it in. And he got a job, and it improved his situation. So as far as the hierarchical nature of it and the sort of the rank, again, it just seems like that's how it's supposed to be anyway. It's not really a lot of hard thinking about it.
It just forms naturally. That's great. Like this is what you guys were talking about earlier about each of you mentioned this need for brotherhood and this need for hierarchy, that this is a natural state of men that has been kind of denied by modernity. To see it being able to manifest in the way that you guys have put it together is really good stuff. And for black metal, I know that, and you mentioned this, that you were in the trades. I am also in the trades, and anybody who's in the trades or was in the military knows that any group of men getting together are going to talk shit to each other all the time. Is this something that you've gotten a chance to experience yet?
A little bit. There's definitely some interesting conversation I've bore witness to, and yeah. I mean, it's like talking to old friends, people that I've never met before, that I've never interacted with. I can put out a feeler. I'm going to be in a particular city next week for work, and I put it out, and then just the response is like, "Oh yeah, let's meet up for lunch. Let's do this. Let's do that." And not so much banter yet, but I'm sure it's coming. And again, I'm excited to witness it. The little bit that I have been privy to has been it's been great though. I mean, obviously I can't say it here, but
that's something I've seen, especially amongst a group of our younger guys who are just, thick as thieves, those guys. And I remember at our last meeting, we were wrapping things up. It was late in the day and standing outside smoking cigars, and these guys are just going back and forth and back and forth. And it reminded me of the military and seeing young privates who are always trying to one up on each other. And, it's all in good fun, but amongst guys, if I make fun of you because I like you, and that's how it is with these guys. And I love to see it. That's
great. Shifting gears just a little bit, did you guys look to the Magnolia League, look to other civic organizations that existed in Alabama or that were prominent in Alabama in order to take any any I don't know, ideas from?
So we certainly did, but unfortunately, I think this is one of those issues where the old structures were not prepared for modernity as it exists today. So a lot of these organizations, whether it's fraternal organizations associated with church communities, or civic organizations like the Elks clubs, things like that, they were not prepared to adapt for the social situations or the social changes, the technological and cultural changes that impacted modernity. So when we were building this organization, we built it custom tailored to the world that we live in today. And oftentimes it is easier to build a new organization than it is to reform an old one. So while you can look at a lot of these organizations, and specifically one thing that we did want to do is the traditions, the kind of the formalities, the things that are trivial and serve no practical purpose, but they enhance the fraternity, they enhance the the feeling of belonging. So for us, our pins are coveted. We had a pinning ceremony at our last formal meeting, and to me that was something that almost like an old military tradition or something that you see in a lot of other fraternal organizations. So we did take inspiration in spirit, but in more technical terms, no, we didn't take a lot of structural or rules from other organizations, because they're just not adapted or equipped to deal with the problems that we deal with today. And so we try to focus on the problems that we have at hand.
Yeah, that's interesting. You're absolutely right about trying to reform other organizations being a little bit difficult. I know a lot of people in the OGC nationwide are members of, some of them are members of local Mason groups or, the Knights of Columbus or something like this. And the gripes that they have with them seem to be systemic, and building something new without these existing difficult priors makes a lot of sense. I'd like to go around for each of you. If you guys had any lessons that you've learned from being a part of the Magnolia League that you would like to kind of impart to the other chapters. We all experience many of the same problems, but due to the geographical distance separating many of these chapters, we may not know that we're dealing with these things. So yeah, if you guys had any problems that you found interesting, that you overcame, or something that you think that another chapter might also run into.
Well, the one thing I can say is that personnel is policy. You can make all the rules you want. You can design it however you want, write your constitution however you want, but the people you have at the top, the people you have leading, are who make the organization. And we've been blessed from the get-go to have a fantastic president who is, we couldn't ask for better. And we have a wonderful slate of officers who are perfectly suited to do the jobs that they do. I mean, you wouldn't believe the quality of these guys, like they were born for their jobs. But the people matter. The people matter. That's it. It's not about the rules. It's not about the laws, the bylaws, none of that. It's the people. And that's the case in every organization. And managerialism at large has kind of ruined that in our society. People have forgotten that. Corporations think that sets of rules written on break room walls are what run organizations, and that's not the case. It's people. It's people first. It's people last. And so pick the right people to lead. And if you know that you're not that guy and there's somebody else who needs to lead, step aside. Like, let him lead for your sake, for the sake of the organization.
Yeah, good people make the organization. And again, I keep saying organic and natural. I guess I don't know if I'm the most easygoing person around, but we have good leadership. And everybody's in contact, everything is open. Again, men are permitted to act like men. Things tend to fall into place. We ought to not make discipline issues or be being weird or anything. Everybody's free to, like I said earlier, people, you're there because you want to be there. So you want this thing, and you want it the way it naturally functions. So we have good leaders that enable the good to take place within the group.
Yeah, and
Then
hopefully
Black.
I'm not speaking out of turn here, but I guess maybe it's a protocol that, and it's something that I'll be focusing on, obviously, but detecting normies that kind of file through, and especially sort of in-person tells and maybe indications, questions to ask, ways to kind of point conversations. Even in my brief time, I kind of had an experience. It's like, oh, okay, I need to sharpen these chops per se. And obviously, as these organizations continue to grow, it's going to become pretty important. So,
if I can throw one more thing in on the back of house that might help some of our other chapters, having good processes matters. I know I just said people, they're the most important thing, but people have to be the ones executing good processes. So when we bring new people on, everyone in the organization knows how it works because they went through that process. And so whenever we have a batch of new recruits, this is one thing that, although I'm not an officer, I help out administratively on the back end. Every couple of weeks, we'll do a 1 hour brief where we bring new members up to speed 100%. We explain to them everything from top to bottom, left to right. We explain to them how vetting works, how the rules work. So everybody is up to speed and everybody feels like they have become a part of the organization. We don't leave anything up to chance. And so this is something that in my interactions with members of other chapters in other states, I've tried to help them design their systems in a way where once you have the right people in place and they understand, they can go out and execute on those systems and say, oh yeah, here's the process, here's how things work. And so when you get new members, hopefully all their questions are already answered. And we've been doing this long enough now where we do have answers for all the questions, whether it's security or privacy. And so clarity is something that I think as a follower to a leader, that's something I always want. I want my questions answered. If I have a concern, I want that addressed. For those of you who are in the military, you know that too. You don't want to be the guy who's sitting around wondering what is going on. So we like to stay on top of that and have our leaders interfacing with our guys consistently. When we have new guys on, we bring them 100% up to speed. And I mean, Black and Black Metal and Jack, you guys both experienced that. So if you can maybe talk to that experience with the onboarding and the briefs and stuff.
Obviously, I wasn't going to contradict your discussion about leadership and personnel being number one. I mean, obviously, that's totally correct, but it is cool and it's refreshing when I was going through the process to see that a lot of this stuff was codified and that there were procedures and processes behind a lot of this stuff. Again, it's just kind of refreshing. And it's super important for me, especially just to kind of know a lot of that stuff is in place, just because I don't know. As I get more versed in this organization and I keep meeting people, obviously I'll get more familiar with a lot of that. But again, I appreciated that y'all wrote a lot of this down and took a lot of time and attention to hash out the processes deliberately.
Yeah, I would pitch in also is that I would suspect that military experience and the idea of having a precise methodology or precise process in dealing with people is very helpful. But our main administrator who did my initial interview, he's our guy that he's fiendishly working feverishly to take care of all these things for us. Talk about enabling people like that to do the maximum possible good in the space that they're in. But as far as just it's thought out. There's an intelligible concept behind it, and the way that the vetting process it's executed, common sense. But we know what our objectives are, and we know what we're after, what we do and don't want. who again, it's not how many people we can pull in, it's getting the right people. Who's a fit? Who's going to be a part of this that can contribute, that wants to be in, that is, it's got, it's a matter of finding the right people, and those people are generally driven to come to you anyway. So, but again, I'd say that it's not. I'd like to usually, like I said earlier, it's not a hard edge process, but it's thought out, it's specific. There's intent behind it, and that helps clean things up in the process. So if there's anything questionable, you can detect it with someone, with an applicant, or someone maybe it doesn't really fit the mold. You can work that out.
Yeah, and if I can expand a little bit more on that, when I say that people are the most important thing, I mean that, but in a sense, like you said, our chief administrator, our secretary, nobody else could do that job but him. So yes, we have processes and we have systems, but if you were to give those to somebody else who is not talented administratively just by nature, it would be pearls before swine. So yes, you have to have both, but again, a lot of this, he's been our secretary since day one, and he's designed a lot of these systems himself. So it is both to a certain extent, but if you shouldn't confuse the system for the person, because it is the person wielding the system or the process that makes it effective. If you were to give that same process to somebody else, it wouldn't be any good. And then, our vetting process, a significant portion of that is subjective. And while we do have exhaustive, questionnaires and protocols and background checks, the most important thing is the ability of our people involved in the vetting process, of our section liaisons and our people who delegate those tasks to, just the ability of them to go to a new recruit and say, what kind of person are you? Are you going to be a fit for this organization? And really the main question we always ask, that is always, we need to answer is, are you going to be an asset or are you going to be a liability? Are you going to be somebody that helps, or are you going to be dead weight? Because, that fundamentally, for all of the questions and things that we do, that's the question principally that needs to be answered. So it is subjective in many ways, but that's just how it has to be, unfortunately, in an organization like this.
Yeah.
We have the advantage of being kind of small now and being able to run under the radar. But the time is definitely coming when, especially the vetting is going to become more important. And again, it's part of why I was so reassuring when I got the first impression that y'all were so serious about this. So,
yeah, and I think that's a perfect note to wrap it up on. What you're talking about is being unapologetically professional. This is a great display of what you mean when you say that the culture of the Magnolia League is serious. And I think that's going to be a great boon for all the other chapter presidents and officers listening. So let's hit the super chat real quick. From Gabai of Lemberg, our very own vizier in the Northeast, for $20. One, internal memo. Need to get the OGC New York City to this level. 2, Crimson Veil was excellent. Buy the book. 3, Axios Coaching and Fitness. Sign up. Well, these are all great pieces of advice with a great hope in there as well. Thank you, Gabai. So, guys, we're going to go around one more time. If there's like anything else that you didn't get a chance to get out that you wanted to let the people know, take your time with it. But otherwise, let us know where prospective members who are interested, and also other chapter officers who have questions can reach out to you.
Well, if you want to get in contact with me or any of the other guys who work behind the scenes at the Magnolia League to make things happen administratively, you can reach out to the OGC and they'll put you in contact via our officers or through other backdoor channels. But if there's one thing I want to say to people, it's join. You're late. Hurry up. You need to get involved. Strike when the iron is hot. Now's the time.
Yeah. Yeah, now is the time to be a part of something. I was going to say the ease in which the vetting has worked out is because I've met all these guys and I immediately feel commonality and kinship with them because just the things that we start talking about. So something worked out well. I know it's not just location in Alabama, but an opportunity for me. I've been struck by my need for brotherhood and for male camaraderie. Well, here's the place for it. Particularly if the things that concern you are the things that concern us, it's a great place to do something and further your capacity and your abilities.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add to this, obviously, for the longest time, I was surrounded by people that were telling me like, don't join an org just because you'll ruin your life. But I don't know if you're going to be out there and you're going to be unapologetically yourself and you're going to stand for what you believe in. The clock is ticking, and I think the nature of this organization and just the way that it's structured and I'll read this in a second. The way the organization is structured, the decentralized nature of it, and just the human capital that we have access to, this is the ship you want to be on when the storm comes. And I feel that very, very vehemently. So I'll read the final super chat and we'll wrap this up. Son of Haster for $20 sends a salute. Thank you, Haster. We appreciate your attention and your money. Great name. Yes, yeah, exactly. I guess that's it from the Magnolia League. This triple threat here is signing off, and join.
That's right.